This is the story of Adrian, the monk or quaker parrot that had a short but beautiful life. Adrian was found in 2023 on a busy street. Somebody found her, put their finger out. Adrian got on the finger and they brought her to us, who are rehabbers. She was a young bird and still had some pin feathers, but she was very friendly and took to me right away. She liked the pool and used the pool float and didn't mind sharing it as long as it wasn't with another bird. As rehabbers here in Florida, we get a lot of birds, especially parrots. Monk parrots in particular are pretty gentle, but none have ever been as gentle as Adrian. The family adopted Adrian, but more importantly, Adrian adopted the family. She lived on my shoulder most of the time, occasionally my head, where I could go out and go for walks and she would just stay with me. I never tested Adrian to see if the bird was a male or female, but most of the time I say she, but one can never be sure. Adrian never really gave us a clue. The gentleness of her movements just appeared to be feminine. Dodo, the dove, as well as Adrian, didn't mind the loud noise from the power washer. While other birds do take to me, Adrian was my favorite. She would sit on my shoulder most all day, and she was no problem walking with me in the neighborhood. Adrian would always laugh when I laughed, and she would mimic me when I spoke on the phone. People on the other end would hear her mumbles, which is probably how I sound to most everyone. She didn't bathe like most birds. Only her beak got wet, and she only did it in the pool. That's Telly, the grackle, in the background. Telly lost all of his head feathers from a predator scare. He was able to be released a few months later, his head fully grown back. Usually Adrian would only get on the float if there were no other birds around. Plus, she would only use the low outside side area to wash her beak. Adrian always joined me for breakfast, and she liked a good cup of coffee in the morning, probably almost as much as I did. And as you can see, the coffee was good to the last drop. Monk parrots make good pets, even for those living in apartments and condos. Most times Adrian was quiet, only squawking when strangers entered the house. Adrian was a smart bird, smarter than many other birds that came through our doors. Even though the foods were the same for all the parrots and cockatiels I would put out each morning, she liked going into other birds' cages to eat their food. It didn't matter if the cage door was closed or even locked. Although we occasionally had other monk birds, you could always tell it was Adrian by that single unique feather below her hide. Who needs a barber when you have your own personal hair trimmer? She was our ambassador bird, the first bird visitors met when they got a tour of our rescues and rehabs. Not too many birds have won football contests, but in November 2025, Adrian won Good Morning Football's Angry Runs weekly contest. She could have won the final contest, which was 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, but I guess they didn't want to give it to a bird. A few weeks later, she started developing swelling below her beak. 3 different vet visits yielded nothing. No doc could give us an answer to what it was. It wasn't cancer, it wasn't a tumor, it wasn't an infection. No one knew. She seemed to stay in good spirits, eating, drinking, playing. We treated the swellings daily to reduce her chewing on them. Over time she developed more on one leg than the other. Oddly, she now seemed to tolerate other birds in her area. She even liked this parrotlet on her cage and in her triangle house. One day in the spring, I took her out to the pool area. She wanted to fly across the pool, but didn't have the strength. Plop in the water. Nothing looks worse than a sick, wet bird. A few days later, she didn't do well. She started eating, joining me to make breakfast for the other birds, but she only ate a few morsels herself. As the day went on, she went downhill really fast. By the end of the day, she had trouble even holding up her head. By the next morning, she had passed. As with people, you want to remember them in their prime, the good times, the times that make you smile. That's what I'm doing. I still feel her sitting on my shoulder, and when I laugh, she is laughing too.